Here is something that quietly puzzles me. Someone earns $75,000 a year, maybe 85, in some cases over 100,000. By most reasonable standards, that is a good income. That is more than the median household earns in the United States, more than most professionals earn across Western Europe. And yet, that person often has less than $2,000 in savings. They carry a monthly car payment that never seems to go away, not because they made one bad decision years ago, but because they keep making the same decision every 3 or 4 years. They upgrade, they refinance, they trade in. And somewhere along the way, they stop noticing that a significant portion of their working life is now permanently committed to a depreciating machine parked in their driveway. This is not a video about whether you should own a car. That is your decision, and it depends on where you live and how you live. This is a video about something else. It is about understanding why intelligent, well-paid people keep themselves locked in an endless loop of car payments, and what that loop quietly costs them over 20 or 30 years. Let me introduce you to someone. His name is Daniel. Daniel is 32 years old. He works as a senior project manager at a mid-sized tech company in Austin, Texas. His gross salary is $92,000 a year. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare, Daniel takes home roughly $62,000 annually. That is about $5,100 per month. Here is how his money leaves his account each month. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood costs him $1,700. His student loan payment, still lingering from his business degree, takes another $380. Health insurance through his employer after his contribution runs $220. Groceries, utilities, phone, internet, and subscriptions add up to around $650. So far, that is $2,950. He has about $2,150 remaining each month. Now here's the interesting part. Daniel drives a 2022 BMW 3 Series. He bought it 2 years ago for $46,000. He put down $3,000 and financed the rest over 72 months at 5.9% interest. His monthly car payment is $712. Add insurance for a financed luxury sedan in Texas, which runs him around $190 per month. Add fuel, which averages around $160. Add maintenance and tires, averaged out another $80 monthly. That is $1,142 per month going toward his car. After everything, Daniel has roughly $1,000 left each month. Some of that goes to eating out, occasional travel, and unexpected expenses. His actual monthly savings average around $200, sometimes less, sometimes nothing. Daniel earns more than most Americans, but Daniel is not building wealth. Daniel is financing a lifestyle. Here's what most people miss when they look at a car payment. They see $700 a month and think, I can afford that. The logic seems simple. If the payment fits within my monthly budget, then the car fits within my life. But this thinking contains a quiet flaw. A car is not a fixed expense like rent. Rent gives you shelter, and shelter does not lose value while you sleep. A car is a continuously depreciating asset that demands ongoing payments for insurance, maintenance, fuel, and registration. When Daniel signed that 72-month loan, he committed himself to 6 years of payments for a vehicle that will lose nearly half its value in that same period. Let me show you the math. Daniel financed $43,000 at 5.9% over 6 years. By the time the loan ends, he will have paid a total of $51,264 for the car. Meanwhile, that BMW, which was worth $46,000 when new, will likely be worth around $21,000 when the loan matures. So Daniel will have paid over $51,000 to own something worth $21,000. That is not a transaction. That is a transfer. $30,000 moved from Daniel's life into the financial system, and he received 6 years of transportation in return. This is not inherently wrong, but it becomes a problem when it happens repeatedly. Now the question becomes, why? Why does someone like Daniel, who is educated and earns well, make this decision? And more importantly, why does he keep making it? The answer is not stupidity. The answer is environment. In most professional settings across the United States and much of Western Europe, your car signals something. It signals that you are doing well, that you have arrived somewhere in life, that you are serious, successful, and upwardly mobile. This is not spoken openly, but it is understood. When Daniel parks his BMW outside his office, when he drives to meet clients, when he visits his parents for the holidays, that car communicates something about him. And in a culture where financial success is often measured by visible consumption, the car becomes a kind of social uniform. Here is the psychological trap. Once you drive a $45,000 car, it becomes very difficult to drive a $20,000 car next. Not because the cheaper car would not meet your needs, it would, but because downgrading feels like regression. It feels like failure. And so, when the lease ends, or the loan matures, or the car reaches the age where repairs become frequent, the most natural decision feels like upgrading again, or at least staying at the same level. This is how the loop begins, not with one bad decision, but with a series of decisions that feel rational in the moment and only reveal their cost over decades. Let me show you what this pattern looks like over time. Suppose Daniel continues this cycle. Every 6 years, he buys a new car in the $45,000 to $55,000 range. He finances it for 6 years, he drives it until the loan is paid off, then trades it in and starts again. Over 30 years of working life, that is 5 car purchases. Using conservative estimates, factoring in interest, insurance, maintenance, and depreciation losses, Daniel will spend roughly $470,000 on cars over his career. Nearly $500,000. Now, compare that to someone who takes a different approach. Someone who buys reliable, mid-tier vehicles in the $15,000 to $20,000 range. Someone who pays cash or finances for only 3 years at most. Someone who drives each car for 8 to 10 years instead of 6. That person might spend $150,000 on transportation over the same 30-year period. The difference is $320,000. If that difference were invested in a simple, low-cost index fund averaging 7% annual returns, it would grow to over $900,000 by retirement. This is not fantasy. This is arithmetic. And this is the quiet cost of the car payment loop. Not just the money spent, but the wealth never built. So, how do financially intelligent people think about this? They do not see cars as symbols of success. They see cars as tools for transportation. This does not mean they drive broken-down vehicles or refuse to spend money on comfort. It means they separate the function of the car from the identity attached to it. A financially intelligent person asks different questions. How many years of reliable transportation can I get per dollar spent? What is the true monthly cost of ownership, including depreciation? How does this purchase affect my ability to invest, save, and build long-term security? These are not emotional questions. They are strategic questions, and they lead to different decisions. In practice, this often looks like buying a 3-year-old certified pre-owned vehicle instead of new. It looks like choosing a Honda Accord over a BMW 3 Series, not because the BMW is bad, but because the Accord delivers 90% of the function at half the lifetime cost. It looks like keeping a car for 10 years instead of trading it in every 5. This mindset is not about deprivation, it is about awareness. The goal is not to feel guilty about wanting nice things. The goal is to understand what those things actually cost and to make that choice with full clarity. Here is the truth. Most high earners do not struggle because they lack income. They struggle because their income is already committed before it arrives. and a large portion of that commitment often sits in the garage. The car payment, repeated every few years over a lifetime, is one of the quietest and most powerful forces keeping otherwise successful people from real financial freedom. This is not blame. It is not shame. It is simply about seeing clearly. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And what you do with that clarity is entirely up to you. If this perspective made you think a little differently today, consider subscribing. That's all I'll ask. I'll see you in the next one.